everyone. Welcome to Work Love Wednesday. Sam Smeltzer here for Work Love Wednesday. It is time for Work Love Wednesday. Hi, everyone. Grab your cup and join me for some Work Love. It is Work Love Wednesday, and if you're local to the area, you've been enjoying some fun wintry mixed weather. So I hope you've been having a safe time in. Here at the Smeltzer household, we have had quite a bit of sickness still floating around. Luckily, me and Zoe, fingers crossed, have stayed healthy throughout all of it. And today I'm hoping that we'll be transitioning back to being healthy and getting things back to normal. So what are some other things that have happened this past week besides snow and being sick? Oh, I know. Last week after, I guess Thursday, I finished all of my schooling for Yin teacher training, and I got my fun certificate, which you might have seen floating around on social media. And so I'm really pumped about that. On Friday, I'm doing a special little mini celebration for myself. It's called it's a self-love workshop, themed from Valentine's Day. And it's a yin yoga class. It's going to be 90 minutes. It's going to be an incredible, beautiful practice. I am looking forward to it. And those that are registered, I hope they're looking forward to it. And we have a couple spots left. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you register for that. The other thing, if you are watching on the Leadership Arts page, which after I do this, I'm probably going to hop on and do a quick video there. But Friday, we're hosting HR 101, which is HR training for supervisors and leaders. Basically, anybody who has any questions about HR and why we do things in HR and want to understand a foundation so you can really, truly be a partner with HR or know what your HR department should be doing. We're bringing that back. That's a workshop. That was the first workshop I ever developed in my career, which makes sense because it came out of a place of true passion. Is when I was really loving my HR generalist job and all that knowledge and expertise. And so that's coming back on Friday. It's the first time we're hosting that as a Leadership Arts Associates workshop. So I'm pretty pumped about that. So today's topics, they're kind of heavy. One's not so heavy, but one's pretty heavy. Talking about the time it takes to heal. And then I want to chat about this invisible line between work and life because it reappeared again in the last couple of days. And it kind of hits I guess it kind of hits a nerve with me when it happens. I like how I look on Facebook, but Instagram, the tripod is just too short. So we're going to use my handy dandy book stack, see if I can get you guys higher. Hold on. The tall book on top is not what's effective. Or the short little book, sorry. There we go. Now you guys are more equal. All right, now I can see. I don't look like I'm staring down on Instagram. So let's talk about the first thing about the time it takes to heal. As someone who talks about for the last 4 years being on this self-growth journey, and that's shown up as I've become a writer and an author, and the 2 books that I've written basically are surrounded around my self-growth journey. And there's some really heavy topics in there, some really big things that I've started to uncover and start to heal. And I think that is the word that I really want to emphasize, is start to heal. I'm not my youngest daughter's age, so I'm not of the age of 4. So it's not that I've been learning and growing myself for my entire life. In fact, for a large chunk of my life, I spent it neglecting it and trying to numb the sensations of what I was not happy about in my life. And so when we talk about numbing the sensations of our life, we can do that in several different ways. It can start early on as easy as eating a whole box of Oreos or Twinkies or any kind of heavy processed food, because they're loaded with things that will just numb sensations in our brain. Chips, soda, all that kind of stuff. As we get older, the glasses of wine, shopping even can do it for me. But they're all ways to kind of check out and not have to face the reality that I am not happy in that current moment. And when we have those sensations of not being happy, those are typically a natural trigger sign from our body of like something's not right. So maybe we should look at this a little bit differently. But for most of us, we look for a very quick fix to basically shift from being unhappy to happy, because nobody likes being unhappy. And we also like to be in a place of blame. So we like to see if there's external factors that we can attribute to the reason why we're unhappy. Not to say in some situations there is an external factor that's the reason, but for most of us, we do that. Now, for myself, as I've started this kind of self-immersion, and I talk about, the first year that I opened up Leadership Arts was kind of this really weird, bizarre year for me, because I never expected to be an entrepreneur. I never expected to go out on my own. I always expected to be part of the corporate world, climb the ladder. That's how I had always envisioned my career. And in 2015, I found myself in an office supposed to find clients and build a business. And I was terrified. I had so many insecurities about my own self-worth and my own knowledge levels, continually asking myself the question of who am I to even do any of this work? Who is going to hire someone like me? And quickly it resulted in this downward spiral of me immersing myself into some really very much needed self-reflection tools, some very much needed self-growth tools, but they really truly helped me kind of evolve Leadership Arts to where it is. And I had no idea where it was going and no idea of the work that I would be so passionate about today. But all of that has come out of me and my own personal journey, me and healing myself. And I always talk about, even when I work with coaching clients, they always come in the same phase that I'm at that point, because I have to go through whatever they're going through in order to be the teacher, to be the facilitator. I don't ever give activities or exercises to clients that I have not done on myself, that I don't know at least what it would feel like on me. And in particular, if it's an activity that might cause a large amount of insecurity or raise up lots of vulnerabilities or questions, I want to know that about myself, because that is something that I always experience. I'm always extremely judgmental of myself. And I say that of myself because it's still happening. And that's what I want to talk about today. I mean, we think about, I watch some of these amazing men and women who have gotten to these amazing places in their growth journey. And I always put myself on this pedestal of thinking that I should be there. In fact, one of the most recent ones is I read, just finished the book by Rachel Hollis, which is Girl Wash Your Face. And it's very interesting to listen to. Oh my gosh, my voice. Excuse me, that dry weather. But it's very interesting to listen to her book because it's laid out very similar to From Heart to Heart, which I just felt compelled to write, which was sharing my own stories and then the lessons that were associated with it. But as I was listening to her stories and her pouring out her heart and her soul, and even hearing the emotion in her voice as she read it, because I listened to it via Audible, it made me realize that, she's still healing. She still has things going on, even though it looks like it's all put together. Yeah, my voice is just not. Let's try warm beverage. Maybe that will help. But I watch all these things, but realizing that, she talks about her turning point in her healing process for a lot of the different things in life. There's all the different areas of life, whether it's your professional happiness, it's your relationships, it's your physical health, like all of those things encompassed together. And we can't do all of them at one time. And so we have these journeys that highlight as we are kind of weaving in and out of increasing our level of wellness in all of them, increasing our level of connectiveness and getting closer to the life that we want to be living and being more aligned to our connected passion and purpose. But as I was listening, it made me realize that, we're all still healing. And I think that I know I personally, and this week was very awakening, or not even awakening, but just a nice reminder to me that I've been doing a lot of work on myself, but I have to give myself grace still, because that work is not finished and it probably will never be finished. And I'm still going to have triggers, and I still have a lot of things to work through as far as self-worth. And I've talked about that in the last, we're on episode 16 of Work Love. That's crazy. I've been doing this for 16 weeks now. But in the past, I've talked about how my self-worth has bubbled up. And even in the last couple of days, one of the things I think I have mentioned about is social media feeds. About a year ago, I got very intentional about who I let onto my feed, because I recognize that social media can be a huge trigger point for me based off of what people are sharing or what they are saying or what they are doing, can really serve as a mirror back and really trigger some of the insecurities that I am suffering from at that point in time. And even with my drastically filtered social media feeds, it still happens. And actually, 2 nights ago, I actually was on LinkedIn, which is a professional platform, and just watching a couple of places that I follow and what they posted in a matter of minutes, I found myself back to a place almost to where I was when I started Leadership Arts of who am I and what am I doing? And should I just go get a real job? Should I just not be doing this anymore? And it was kind of compounded by the simple fact that in the last week, I've gotten basically stood up 3 times by clients, and it was all like, there was explanations for each of them. They all called for reasons why they could not make it. But at the same time, 3 in a row, you kind of, I don't know, it kind of compounds and you start asking yourself questions. But I found myself literally on Monday night, just kind of in tears and so upset, thinking that I have not evolved at all. I haven't gotten anywhere in the last 4 years. I'm kidding myself that I think that I know what I'm doing or that I'm adding any value to the world. And I share this not because I want any of you to tell me how fantastic I am. I'm sharing this because if these are thoughts that you have, even when you think that you're doing everything that you possibly can to keep moving forward, yet you find yourself feeling like you're still at square one and you haven't made any progress, that's perfectly normal. On the grand scale of life, you need to realize that as much as you are doing now, there probably was a large part of your life that you have not been. And where is that scale yet? I know that, the part where I was not doing very much is still very, very heavy. And I'm still trying to build to balance that back out and find that balanced life, which is one of the reasons why I love and gravitated towards this yin yoga practice. It's not so much just the yin, but the awakening that I had to this idea of a truly balanced life, of the yin and the yang, of like the self-reflection and the self-growth that is needed for us to maintain the action-oriented part of life. And when we just focus on the yang or the yang of life, which a lot of us do, myself included, how out of whack we get and how lost we get very quickly because we're not taking the time to fully understand what is happening in our life and how we are growing and maturing and how our experiences are preparing us for what's next. And if we don't take the time to learn those lessons, then we find ourselves completely at a loss when we want to move to that next step, yet we're not sure how to even do that. And it's frustrating for me sometimes to realize that the work that I'm doing is helping to basically uncover things that I knew of at a very young age, but because I didn't know where to go or what to do with whatever was happening, I just tried to make it go away. And now I'm working very hard to undo all of that junk and crap that I put on myself to make it go away. Most of you, I've shared that I am very sensitive. I'm a super sensitive individual. And sensitivity is viewed as a weakness. And so for most of my life, I tried to make myself not be sensitive using coping strategies that if I had to cry, how do I suck it up till I can get to a place to where I could cry? And the negative self-talk that I would do to myself to try to essentially issue myself tough love. So once again, the grand scheme, I mean, the main lesson that I took from this week about these triggering points on social media, me basically having this humbling moment of being reset back to 4 years ago when I started Leadership Arts Associates, and asking and still finding myself asking the same exact questions. Give yourself grace. Like for me, it's like, my gosh, Sam, it's been 4 years, but my gosh, Sam, it's only been 4 years. It's only been 4 years. And I think that is just something that we can't hear enough, that there's no magical place that you're supposed to be in this moment or magical things that you're supposed to have achieved by this moment. You are exactly where you're supposed to be right now. And you need to trust that. So the other thing that I want to talk about, who's a little bit lighter, so just to bring it back a little bit, is this invisible line between work and life. When I first started writing, like one of my first blog posts that I wrote out there was regarding work-life balance. And I did that because work-life balance is a big buzzword. People are talking about it. They tie it directly to stress management. But it is something that people are chatting about. But as I started to really process and think about work-life balance, I've really started to transition to this concept of having a balanced life. And that means whatever it means to you. Some people need more work and less life, need more life and less work. And some need a pretty close 50-50. But it's unique to the individual. And I don't think that there's any judgment that we can have on anyone when they discover what their healthy level is in between the two. But one of the things that I think is vastly misinterpreted, and this is my personal kind of belief, is that we think that there is this invisible line, that, there is still work and there's still personal life. And what I believe for those individuals who are listening, who I believe are passionate professionals like myself, that line does not exist. There is definitely a transition. There is a home life and a work life. But for us to feel fulfilled and connected and truly happy, where joy and love thrives within us and around us, all the work is tied together. The work of our professional fulfillment is directly tied to the fulfillment that we're going to have at home. Just like the work that we do for personal fulfillment at home is going to impact our professional lives. So I think about this in the context, and this comes up almost 99.9% of the time with any client that I work with in a coaching context. The concept of marriage, and the relationship and that dynamic that's there, that relationship will impact your ability to love what you do. If the person that you do life with, have chosen to spend your life with, that is your partner in life, if they don't support your dream, if they think your dream is craziness and unicorns and you need to unicorns and rainbows and sprinkles and poof, make it go away, you're always going to have that somewhere. That's somebody that you've let in intimately, that you trust, that is supposed to help make you stronger. If they're not there to support you, it's going to impact your ability to do that. When you're faced with trials and tribulations and obstacles professionally, and you need someone to hold you up because you are so fragile in those moments, or you're trying to ramp yourself up to have the strength to keep going forward, that is the person who's supposed to do that for you. Same thing with really close friends and family. They can really impact that aspect of your life. Vice versa. If you hate your job, if you hate what you do, you carry it home. How many times do I hear about, spouses or partners or friends who get frustrated because they don't want to hang out with somebody who just keeps complaining over and over and over and over again about their job? That's all they can talk about. It's almost obsessive. And that has an impact on your personal life. You carry that with you and it goes with you. And so if you're someone who believes in this invisible line, and as long as I hop back and forth over it, that I'm all good, unless you are able to really shut it down and move over, which I've met people who can, and that's a very big talent, even though I don't think it's ever fully kind of shut down. Think about it. I mean, I've had people who pause their professional development or pause their professional aspirations because home life is, what's happening. Yes, home life has to be a priority, but I ask you to not think about them completely separate. They will always feed each other. And if you focus too much on your home life and you need that professional aspect and you're not pursuing that, what's happening in that context? So just food for thought, wisdom for, I don't know. Those are my words of wisdom for this week. So that's what I got for you for today for Work Love Wednesday. I hope that this served you in some way. And if you're local in the area and you have nothing to do Friday night, think about signing up for the Self-Love Yin workshop and just let it be a time to just basically give yourself permission to have a little bit of luxury in your life and be spoiled a little bit. All right. So have a great Wednesday. Stay warm, stay safe, or, wherever you are. Maybe you are someplace where it's warm. And if so, I'm jealous, but I'll talk to you next Wednesday. Bye.